Here is a poem whose stanzas are in the form of clerihews. Now, clerihews are whimsical biographical poems of 4 lines, the line length and the metre being irregular, and the rhyme scheme being AABB. And they are pretty easy to write, because the rhymes are the only required constraint. So they are almost as easy to write as modern poetry, where you can come up with any old string of words, no constraints at all, i.e. prose, and call it a poem. Um, anyway, the clerihew is named for E.C. Bentley, who was Edmund Clerihew Bentley, and he invented it in 1891 or thereabouts, when he was a schoolboy at St. Paul's School in London. And he produced many examples for the entertainment of his friends. And I have a book here which is by the son of E.C. Bentley, whose name was Nicholas Bentley, and it looks like that, and it's called How Can You Bear to Be Human? And he was a cartoonist, and he wrote humorous stuff, drew cartoons. He was an excellent cartoon artist, and his middle name was Clerihew too, Nicholas Clerihew Bentley. And this book was published in 1957, but I acquired it some years after that, and I bought it second-hand in a charity shop or at a jumble sale or something like that. I don't remember. I've got some books whose provenance I remember, but I've got many hundreds more or thousands for which I have no recollection about how I got them. But anyway, this particular book, it was apparently originally it was bought as a Christmas present in 1957, because in it I still have the tag, the Christmas tag, and on it says a very Merry Christmas to Margie and Sydney from Mummy and Wendy. Please turn over, PTO. And if you turn over, it says, we thought you would both enjoy a good laugh. M. Well, who was Wendy, I wonder? Perhaps Mummy was a widow, and Wendy was a non-human companion. I don't know, presumably a dog. I don't feel Wendy is a cat's name. Such are the small and personal mysteries that people leave behind. Anyway, there is one thing really sticks out in the book, in the illustrations and the cartoons, is how normal smoking was back in the 1950s in pretty well all social settings. It's hard to credit in our present time that it was once normal, an unquestionable and unassailable human right, almost, to pollute the air that other people used for breathing. I don't know. I remember when I was first working with the Open University, when I was first an OU student, in the 1970s, and the mostly it was at home, of course. You studied at home, but they had a residential school in the summer for a week to show students a glimpse of what conventional university life was like. And in the classes, it was normal for people to smoke in the classes, which was very unpleasant for some of the non-smokers, I assume, certainly for me. And I did actually ask the Open University, the authorities. I asked them why smoking was permitted in classes at the summer schools, and I received an official answer saying that the idea of curtailing smoking in classes was an absolute no-no, just absolutely unthinkable, because there were some people who could not study effectively unless they were smoking, and the OU could not put some of its students at such a disadvantage. It's hard to believe those were the official positions back then, but they were, and of course it was just like that everywhere, workplaces, in pubs, in restaurants, everywhere. Smokers' rights were absolute and were not to be questioned. Anyway, the poem. Poem goes like this, and there are quite a few philosophers in it, and also there is an early reference to Sir Walter Raleigh and the potato, which is probably not true. We heard that he introduced the potato from the New World into Europe, into England, and it's probably not true. It's a myth, but there you go. Anyway, the poem. The philosopher Plato was not keen on potato. No, Plato with the potato never got really pally, unlike Sir Walter Raleigh. Whenever Xanthippe wasn't feeling too chippy, she required of Socrates that he should send for Hippocrates. St. Thomas Aquinas always regarded wine as a medicinal juice that helped him deduce. Desiderius Erasmus avoided chiasmus, but grew fond, as time wore on, of oxymoron. When Immanuel Kant was told to embrace his aunt, he obeyed the categorical must, but only just. The fact that he was Geheimrat made Johann Wolfgang von Goethe all the curter with people who were leery of his colour theory. Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel was fond of eating cream cheese with a bagel, whereas his fellow countryman Martin Heidegger was more of a ham and egger. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, when required to do so, wrote the Discourse on the Origin and the Basis of Inequality among Men, but he was glad he was not required to do it again. Francois-Marie Arouet found his own name very difficult to say. In fact, he found saying it so hard to bear that he changed it to Voltaire. William Blake found Newton hard to take, nor was he greatly taken with Francis Bacon. When Arthur Hugh Clough found the course of true love ran rough, he sighed quel dommage and wrote Amour de voyage. The end.